Hello. What we want to look at now is to look at calls to action. Calls to actions typically are on a page where you're trying to get a visitor or a user to take some sort of action. So in this example, we went from testing, and we now have calls to action. So these buttons are placed on blogs, on web pages, to help guide the user to the next step. So we want to take a look at these. So let's start picking on the first one, learn more. Well, let's step back a half a second and look at our main home page as a live preview. And if you see, here is the call to action button. It may or may not be something that is tiny. It might be large. It might be an image on there. But these are the calls to actions to get you to go to a place. Specifically, do you want to learn more? You click the button. That button then takes you to a landing page. That landing page is where that specific offer or that call to action drives you to. So you want to learn more? Good. Here's the Social Media Trends book. This is what you can do. To gain access to it, you fill out the form. So let's go back to calls to action again. So we've started to look at their call to action. Let's look at some of the details. So as we look at the calls to actions, we can see how many views this has generated and how many people have clicked on it. So we can scan and see that type of information. What we can also do then is to see where it's placed and how successful people have been seeing that on particular pages. The other thing that we could do is potentially clone it and make a test variation of it. So we could start doing A/B testing. So is it better if it's in blue or if it's in yellow? And see which one performs better. Let's go back and continue on our discussion with calls to action. So for the calls to action, we want to look at it. So I'm going to, and I could either edit it here or click and go to the edit. So what we have for the call to action, if we create one, or if we're starting to edit one, is multiple tabs. What we're looking at is what is the name that we're going to call it. Then, to keep all of our assets together, what's the campaign that this asset will be associated with? Once we have those elements in place, where do you want this button to link? To an internal page or to a web address? So for example, maybe one of the things we want to do on our site is to say, join the Student Association for Information Management student chapter. And we'll take them to that web address. Or perhaps we want to have a landing page to learn more about social media trends. Click to our landing page. Now the difference you can see is on our landing page we can control some of the information. As we will talk about, the landing pages is you're here, give me your name, and I'll provide you with an offer. then I'll say thank you. So that's a little bit of the difference. So in this example, the Learn More will be redirected to a specific page. And the page that we're going to redirect them to is our social media offer page. And that's the linked URL. Now, if we wanted to open that in a new window, we could do that as well. But sometimes I hesitate. If you're going to a landing page, you probably don't want to open it in a new window. But if you're going to go to the student chapter page, you probably want it in a new window because they may never come back to your location. Let's continue on in designing. Right now it's just text, and that text is nothing more than Learn More. Well, you could style it. You can change the font or text size or height. Anything you wish you could get into. Well, right now what we're looking at, and you can see here you can write a tremendous amount of code as well. But what we're into here is the button is a text button. You could have made it an image and brought in a picture. We could be working on the style here, and we could be changing it. So right now you see it as a link. But what if we built it as a different type? And you can see I clicked pill, and down on the bottom it changed the shape. What if you changed it to a push and you see the shadowing occurred? What if I changed it to rectangular? But in our case, we're just going to leave it as a link and no special style associated with it. So we now know a little bit about the information. We know a little bit about the design. What if I want to customize and have my cascading style sheet options available? Right now, this is what will happen. Maybe I could add a little bit of, maybe it's light blue. Let's see if we can get that. Add light blue, and that's what I wanted on it. So for the background, again, you're starting to see the importance of understanding cascading style sheets. I also have my class. So if I had a specific class associated with my cascading style sheets, I could call into that versus doing this type of inline. So I could have all buttons receiving a certain type, and then if I changed it, it would change at the class level. So let's take a half a second. We changed it to light blue. We have the size. Let's update it. And now let's go to our site page, view it live, and you can see it should have come in more of a light blue, and it did. So we now have our call to action button built here, taking us to our landing page and our specific offer. So what we've gone through then is what are call to action buttons, how can they be used? And hopefully what you're starting to see is that they're going to be the component that's going to take me to my landing pages, which will start our next lecture.